Funko's Five Nights at Freddy's line has came to an end, or at least their master license has, which means no more action figures, plenty more Funko Pops.
The hell is this?
And it's been a long time since I've compiled my thoughts on the entire action figure line, which as many of you know is the primary line that I'm interested in for Funko. So I figured with the action figure line officially ended as of now, why not go back and rank every single one of them from worst to best, using a tier list. I'm going to be using this tier list in the video. I do have it linked in the description, and they use my photo of Blackheart Bonnie, and I think that's funny. Reach extends. I found an older tier list that has just like a collection photo I took years ago. I'm not going to be doing a numbered ranking, but all of these will be in order from worst to best, in my opinion at least. Expect this video to be very biased, and feel free to leave your own thoughts in the comments. I have very particular tastes when it comes to these things, so my opinions are probably not going to line up with a lot of people's, and they're probably going to confuse a lot of people. But I don't really care, because this is my list. And just to clarify, I will be excluding a few specific things. I will be excluding the glow-in-the-dark pizzeria simulator wave, because it is too similar to the original ones, and honestly, they're just kind of the same figures, but worse. I will also be excluding glow-in-the-dark Foxy because he's too similar. He's just Foxy without the color. I do like that figure though. And then there's also glow-in-the-dark Baby, which I will be excluding because it's the same figure basically. And I know a lot of people won't agree with me doing this, but I am going to be excluding the Balloon Circus wave because these are not characters from an actual FNAF game. I don't really have any attachment to them. This game that they're from is probably canceled at this point, and quite frankly, they just don't fit in with the rest of the line, so I don't see a reason to rank them alongside it. They'd probably be near the bottom anyway. I don't really like these things. They're kinda cute, but I have nothing to associate them with. So without wasting any more time, because there is a lot of stuff to cover, let's get into F tier. So, I think everybody expected this, but the tie-dye figures are going to be in the bottom of the list. So, bottom of F tier, the tie-dye wave, these are just very unappealing figures. I don't think anybody's gonna disagree on that. Like, they're barely even painted. On top of the cheap look, these came at a time when we were so over-bombarded with recolors of the original 4 figures that these really didn't help things. I think pretty much everybody was clamoring for some new characters because we had pretty much just been getting variants for a long time. And they decided to give us these weird variants that are from nothing. Now, I'll give these figures this, they are useful for customs because they are just the original FNAF 1 molds, but they're lazy, they kind of suck. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with this placement. And then right above them will be the tie-dye Springtrap figure. He is only above because he is funnier, and also, it's a cheap way to get a Springtrap figure. You could give him some new paint job, he'll look pretty good. So I think for that, he deserves to be a little higher, but still not that good. Now, the tie-dye figures kind of easily slid their way into F tier. It's not that impressive that they're at the bottom. So, who's the true worst figure? Well, honestly, I have to go with one that I don't think anybody even cares about. Nutcracker Foxy. What is this? Who was this made for? Like, yes, I get it. You made Foxy into a nutcracker. It's very funny. But did you really need to waste the money to invest in a new mold to make this figure? There are way too many missing characters in this toy line for us to be getting Nutcracker Foxy with a new mold. He also has engineering like a mouth articulation thing for the Nutcracker function that we've never seen on a FNAF figure before, and they did all this extra stuff just to make Nutcracker Foxy happen. And I don't, why did Funko even do this? Like, don't get me wrong, it's hilarious, but what is this thing? I don't think anyone's gonna be arguing that this was a severely wasted mold, that they really should have spent the money on making an actual new character. And then right after Nutcracker Foxy, we're gonna put Easter Bonnie here. I don't think he's that awful, but I hate his pink mouth. I hate how undetailed his eyes are. He's missing the little Easter tag on his ear. It's just lazy repaint of one of my least favorite FNAF AR skins. He has a weird, gross bubblegum mouth. I'm just not a fan. But he's also rather inoffensive, but I choose to rank him lower for his sheer laziness. So next up at F tier, near the top of F tier, but still, first F tier Security Breach figures, which is notoriously Funko's least favorite wave among fans. And yeah, these two are just awful. Glamrock Chica's body is alright, like they did a fine job there, but the head sculpt just being FNAF 1 Chica with some eyelashes tacked on is so dumb and it looks terrible. Her face just actually looks unacceptable. I know for a fact that is not what the concept art they were looking at looked like, and that is not an excuse to reuse the sculpt like this. And then for Vanny, it's just like, it doesn't even look like her. This figure looks gross. Her body proportions suck. She has this weird back arch, and like the knife is just this dinky little thing. It's like so dull looking. The Vanny one almost makes me more angry because they actually did try to make a new sculpt and it still looks like this. It's just like, I do feel bad for the people who had to work on this wave and had like nothing to go off of, but like, come on. These are just not very good at all. I particularly don't like Vanny, even though the one's higher effort. I just don't enjoy it. That figure is gross. And now finally at the top of F we have Grim Foxy. This is a figure that I haven't really liked for a very long time now. Okay, so the translucent torso they used on him and Jack O'Bonnie are obviously, it just sucks, it doesn't fit, they should have at least put some paint on it, but no, just solid orange transparent torsos that look really bad and don't even glow in the dark. I think this figure could be saved by a better paint job, but at the same time he does also have a very lackluster sculpt. Reusing Nightmare Foxy's head for Grim Foxy is not accurate, and Grim Foxy's head is completely different. And just a lot of the paint applications are just not right at all. And it's sad, because I really wish this figure looked better, because I really like his articulation. He is one of the best moving Funko figures. You can get a lot of range out of his joints, and they work really well. I don't know why he in particular poses so nicely, but he does. It's just a shame that he kinda looks like garbage. Like, he resembles like a cheap McDonald's toy, not a $15 action figure. I'm glad Grim Foxy is a figure they chose to make, but it's just, this figure is so incredibly lazy. Also, I forgot to mention, he's not wearing pants.
Breaking news, okay? I'm here on scene with Super D.
So, bottom of D tier, I'm gonna have to go with the holiday figures, mainly Bonnie, Elf Bonnie, Gingerbread Foxy, and Snow Chica. I rank these so low, mainly because I have a similar stance on them to that I had to Nutcracker Foxy, where I really wish this effort was diverged somewhere else, because they're nice, you know, they did a good job on these. I just don't understand why, because, like, we already got 2 Christmas figures not that long ago at the time of these releasing. I don't see why we needed an entire wave of them. And I think all the effort that was put into these holiday figures should have been put into something else, which makes me like them not very much. Like, if these came in the middle of a big surge of new figures, I'd be perfectly fine with them, but that's just not the case, sadly. These came right after a wave of FNAF AR skins that nobody really asked for, so seeing these was kind of just like, what are we doing here? And then, for similar reasons, we're gonna put the chocolate figures right above them, specifically Chocolate Freddy and Chocolate Chica. Funko was going crazy, I think, when they made the decision that they were going to make an Easter line of figures, and they were going to make 3 separate characters, plus an exclusive for it. It should have just been an exclusive, to be honest, but, you know, whatever, we got Chocolate Freddy, Chocolate Chica, just very unnecessary figures, and I want to make it abundantly clear, I do like the aesthetics on these. They look very pleasing, they're very nice looking, but these are FNAF AR branded figures of characters that aren't even in the game. Did you know that? Did you know that these characters are not even in the game? Funko made them up. Like, they're fun designs, but again, it's just like, what are we doing? And now here's Chocolate Bonnie, a little bit above the other chocolate figures. I do like this one more just for being an actual character, and this is one of the original FNAF AR skins, so I'm happy this is included. You know, if I had to include like 3 FNAF AR skins in a toy line, probably be like Frost Bear, Chocolate Bonnie, like freaking, I don't even know who the third one would be, but you know, those are like the 2 OG AR skins, right? So I'm pretty happy about this figure's existence, but the actual look of it just does not do it for me. His colors are really off. I feel like he's a little under-detailed. I don't know. I do like the endoskeleton popping out the side, but I just don't think this figure looks that great. I wish they did more tweaks to the Bonnie sculpt like they did with Frostbear's sculpt, just to make it look a bit better. Because as it stands, this figure just kind of looks like they did the bare minimum to make Chocolate Bonnie. Now, here's Montgomery Gator and Roxanne Wolf, and these ones are above Chica and Vanny because while they are still very, very inaccurate, pretty equally so, at least they're not ugly. Like, I think these figures are appealing enough looking, and I think that immediately bumps them up quite a bit. The Roxy sculpt is reused from the Funtime Foxy figure from Series 2. Her body is pretty much perfect, but again, head sculpt is very important, and yeah, it sucks, and she has a weird pancake hair. I don't even know what's going on there. The hair sculpt on that Roxy figure is impressively bad, but I like her keytar, that's cool. And then Monty, I give him points because he can hold his instrument better than any other Funko figure, and that is so cool to me. That made me so happy when he released. I didn't even care how he looked because he can hold his damn guitar. And I kind of respect Funko. The audacity to use Funtime Freddy's head sculpt as a base for Montgomery Gator is like appallingly lazy, and it's to the point where I kind of like, I respect it a little bit, because like, what do you mean you did that? What was the thought? Alright, so Toxic Springtrap, they took a really cool design, they made him translucent bright purple, they painted his eyes wrong, and they made his nose yellow. I just don't know how this stuff happens. Like, I get reusing the original Springtrap mold. I would have preferred if they gave him a new head sculpt or at least tweaked it a little bit, but you know, it's fine. But what the hell is this paint job? What are you doing? The sculpted detail on this thing isn't even that bad, too. Like, the way they sculpted all the guts and stuff, it works, but it's just like, this paint job is like, the plastic choice? Why is he bright, translucent purple? He doesn't even look like that, like, remotely. He's very dark purple, actually. This is just bad. It's just bad. No tiptoeing around it. Honestly, I think this figure might be a little too low on the list, because I really don't think there's anything wrong with him. It's just the fact that I don't think this design translated that well to a figure, and the most interesting design detail about his suit, which is the radioactive symbol on his chest, is just completely missing on this figure. And while it is subtle on his in-game model, that would have been a detail that would have really helped this figure with an overall very bland paint job, and also a very severe lack of texturing. Although his hook, the angry eyes, and the super visible endoskeleton underneath his translucent plastic is awesome. I love the endoskeleton, and honestly, this figure, if any of them should have been translucent, it was this one, and I'm glad he is. I'm actually not sure why he's so low. I think I just ranked him alongside Toxic Springtrap, but I'm kind of realizing he's way better. This guy deserves to be a little higher. Tell me where you guys think he should be in the comments. So to cap off D tier, a full tier above his brother Grim Foxy, Jacko Bonnie is here, and this figure does a few things way better that put him a full tier above Grim Foxy for me. For one, sculpt reuse is perfectly suited. Jacko Bonnie is a recolor of Nightmare Bonnie. This makes sense. And also, I like that his snout is painted and he has the endoskeleton painted in his torso. It's not much, but it at least distracts from the ugly orange plastic. And while I do very deeply wish that this figure was consistent with the 2016 Jacko Chica, I am at least happy that he exists. Because this is a figure that I was always so confused why they didn't make back in the day, and he exists now, thankfully, although I think he would have turned out a lot better if they made him back then, but, you know, it's too late for that.
I understand that these events can be psychologically scary.
So starting with C tier, I'm going to be nice to the holiday wave. Santa Freddy is a figure that I like. I like the rosy cheeks on FNAF 1 Freddy. That's always a trope that I enjoy. And it's Freddy in a Santa outfit. It's fun, This should have been the only figure in the wave, honestly. I wish they just made this. Because this is a cute little figure. Now, here we've got a controversial placement, but one that I think is necessary to prove a point. So, the Blacklight figures are going in C tier, near the bottom, but still, that's pretty high up on the list, and you're probably wondering, hey, why are these crappy Blacklight recolors going up so high? Well, honestly, the reasoning is just because these were the first recolors that Funko really did. And all things considered, they look pretty cool. It looks like they thought out these color schemes. And these were super limited edition figures for Black Friday, so I really don't see a harm to making them. They didn't make us lose out on any main waves because we got the Pizza Sim wave right after. These existed as a fun little novelty for Black Friday, and Blacklight, Black Friday, it was a fun gimmick. And that gimmick even made its way into the games in FNAF Help Wanted, so I don't mind this wave at all, and I think people should stop blaming this wave and start blaming the Glow-in-the-Dark Pizza Sim wave. This was the culprit, this one. Okay, so I'm a sucker for big action figures, but this Bonnie here just does not do it for me, and it has a very specific reason. It's because they made this jaw mechanism, right? They made a giant Freddy, now they made a giant Bonnie to go with him, but they just recycled Freddy's entire mouth for this, so now Bonnie has Freddy's teeth and he looks weird, so that knocks him down several tiers for me. He would be much higher, but sadly, they decided to get lazy. I do like his new guitar, though. So, next we got Arctic Ballora, and I do like a lot about this figure. The sculpted detail for the ice texture is pretty cool. Just like the fix to the proportions from the original Ballora figure is really good. It's just the fact that this is one of the first Funko figures that they released that I was really just like, I don't care at all about this. Like, I didn't like this skin in the game. I don't think it looks very good in the game, and I don't think it looks very good as the figure. Like, I'm just not a fan of the look here. I get it, but it's just not for me. I would have much preferred them to make Heartsick Baby to go with the Blackheart Bonnie figure, since Baby is a very rare figure, and I think people will be happy to get a new version of her. But no, it's Ballora, who they re-released many times. And speaking of Blackheart Bonnie, next we got Blackheart Bonnie, and this figure is, I think he's objectively worse, but I rank him higher simply for the reason I just like this skin more in-game. I think he has a cool vibe going on with like the red, but I think this figure really kind of misses the mark. It does have a lot of really nice sculpted detail, but it would have been a lot better if they had done the airbrushing similar to what the mystery mini of him had. Although he does have a visible endoskeleton, much like Radioactive Foxy, which is very cool. Although a detail about him that I never really understood is he has this, like, row of sharp teeth underneath his regular teeth, and this isn't a detail on his design in the game, so I don't know why they decided to give him this. I don't know, it's interesting. I don't really have a good excuse to why I like this figure, I just kind of do a little bit. So next we got Shamrock Freddy, and I appreciate a lot of the sculpted detail on him. I really like the green color they chose. I do wish he had a bit of a metallic thing to him, because the original in-game model does have a very metallic look. But above all else, this figure, I think it could have used like the upgraded sculpt that we saw on Frostbear, for example. I think that would have worked well here, but I don't know. I like all the sculpted like scratches and stuff. It's very nice. He has a new hat and stuff. They clearly put some work into making this into Shamrock Freddy, but why is he covered in poop? Like it's supposed to be the rust detail from his in-game model, but it really just looks like he's covered in just feces. He's got poop all over him. And it's on his mouth too, and that's just nasty. And despite him being so nasty, I felt compelled to put him up here. No clue why, honestly. I think while I was ranking these, I would just like, man, whatever, put Poop Freddy up here. I don't need Poop Freddy. Next, we got the most Kellen Goff action figure of all time. We have a figure of a character that is voiced by Kellen Goff with a reused head sculpt from a character who is also voiced by Kellen Goff. This is just... This figure, this Glamrock Freddy figure, it is not good, okay? Don't get me wrong, it is not good, but I have such a soft spot for it, and I'm not exactly sure why. I just kind of think, like, the Funtime Freddy head sculpt on the Glamrock Freddy figure, is just kind of like, it's not as absurd as Monty, obviously, but it's just like, I don't know, I feel like even like the FNAF 1 Freddy head would have fit better for Glamrock Freddy. It looks a bit more like him. I just don't think this one works that well, but for some reason, I can't bring myself to hate this figure. And then they went ahead and they made like a photo negative version of him, and it's like, did they re-abandoned by Disney? Why did they do this? I just don't understand. I don't understand the photo negative one, and I'm ranking them the same, but in my heart, the photo negative one is much higher, because it's just like, what is that? Why'd they make this? That is the funniest figure they've ever put out. Although I will say, I do like his mic stand. The mic stand is a very cool accessory. I like that. I don't think his colors are too bad. Like, I like his colors. I don't know. This figure is just always, I have a hard time hating him. He's not ugly. He's like charming, you know? He's not as ugly as the other Security Breach figures. Next, I got Orville Elephant, and this is just a very creepy version of the character for me, and it doesn't really match his vibe from the game. I don't know what it is. Maybe his pupils are too small. Maybe his upper teeth look really weird. Like, Funko loves putting upper teeth on characters that just don't have them. Like, Orville Elephant having a top row of teeth below his trunk is like, it's disturbing, okay? He looks gross. But, you know, all things considered, this is a pretty good figure. I'm just not the biggest fan, but I do think this is a pretty alright figure. I just don't have much to say about him. I like his little magician wand, although he's really bad at holding it. Next up, we got Funtime Foxy, who was the oddball of the Series 2 of action figures, and I honestly, I don't know, I always liked this figure. The eyelashes looking like eyebrows is obviously the biggest drawback of this thing. I don't know why they did them like that. But this figure still, I like it a lot, okay? Like, we're kind of moving past the point of any bad figures, really. Like, I think we've been past the point of, like, awful figures for quite a bit now. And now we're just kind of in the area of, they're alright, you know? And this figure is pretty alright. It is definitely, everybody would have preferred a real Mangle figure, but this one, it's very nostalgic. Like, the Toy Foxy, or Funtime Foxy, or whatever you want to call it, design is such, like, a nostalgic thing for me, for, like, old, like, SFM stuff and everything, so having an action figure of it, I don't mind it one bit. And this figure pairs really well with Foxy from Wave 1, and honestly just the whole Wave 1 set. This kind of feels like it was a leftover from Wave 1 that they never got to include in it, considering this character was in the plushie set from Wave 1. But yeah, I don't know. This figure's alright. I like it a lot. Especially the tail. The tail is such a nice detail. It's clearly based on FNAF World, and we don't know how accurate the FNAF World design is to the actual in-universe one, but this is probably a pretty good approximation. Then next up we got El Chip. This figure, I love that it exists, okay? El Chip is awesome, but I don't know. The head sculpt just doesn't do it for me. But I like his giant goofy sombrero and his beaver tail and his little mandolin. I think it's awesome. I just think his head sculpt could be a lot more accurate, but I don't know. I still like him. El Chip, he's pretty good. So next up at the top of C tier, we have Nightmare On. Now, this is probably going to be a controversial placement because I know a lot of people who would rank this absolute bottom tier because this figure kinda sucks. Like, all things, it does suck, okay? Like, it can't stand on its own. You need to lean it up against something. Its joints are terrible. They fall out more than any other Funko figure I've had. This is by all means just not a good figure. However, it is our only puppet in the line. In the entire action figure line, we've never gotten a normal puppet. We got a Nightmare On, and the sculpt is perfect. I love how tall he is. I love just, like, I don't know. It looks perfect. I love how this figure looks. It's such a simple design, but it's such an easy thing to get right, but they did get it right. And I don't know. I like this figure, and I want to like it more. I'm ranking it so high because I am extremely biased towards this character, obviously. I mean, look at this character I made. But, like, I don't know. It could be so much better, and I really wish it was, but it's just the fact that it even exists is baffling to me, because Nightmare On was such a nothing character when this came out. Why they chose this over Nightmare Fredbear is completely beyond me. And I can guarantee if they made a Nightmare Fredbear, it would easily be S tier.
I'm sorry, Major. What was your name? Benny. Nobody cares.
Starting off B tier strong, we've got Liberty Chica. Liberty Chica. Then we got High Score Chica, which is the lowest ranked of the toy animatronic Funko figures. Now, as everybody knows, the toy animatronics, when Funko decided to finally make them, they decided to make the mobile game skin versions of them for some reason that nobody can really decipher. Considering the toy prefix is missing from all the merchandise, my guess is that they literally just did not know that these were variants of the toy animatronics, so it's good to know that the people running this toy line really knew their stuff. But anyway, this is an alright figure. The sculpt for Toy Chica is really well done, like it does look exactly how it should, albeit it has a bunch of weird texturing on it, and this figure is really held back by a lack of paint, because I think with a better paint job, this could have easily made it into A tier, but sadly they decided to barely paint her face, like they literally did the bare minimum. And she just looks really bored, like she doesn't want to be here. Although I will say the 8-bit cupcake is a cool accessory, I'm glad they included that, but it's not enough to knock her any higher. Then we got VR Freddy, who has a much better sculpt, I think. I think the Toy Freddy sculpt that Funko made was basically perfect. However, again, he has the weird texturing on him, although his proportions are great. I really love the Toy Freddy proportions that Funko came up with. They look good. He's well articulated, everything. My main complaint with this figure, though, is that he literally has no paint on him besides the line on his visor. This is an unpainted toy, essentially, and that is just so sad for such a good sculpt. They painted the friggin' Funko Pop keychain more than they painted this. And this guy's ranked down here pretty much because there's a better version of him, which we'll talk about later. So then we got Rockstar Freddy. So, a lot of people seem to like this figure, but honestly, I've never been the biggest fan, and the main reason for that is just, I don't think this sculpt really looks like Rockstar Freddy that much. That and he's way too orange, I think. I don't know. I think this figure's good for what he is. I mean, I'm not the biggest Rockstar Freddy fan, so I'm fine with how this looks. It's just like, he's not really accurate. Like, his face just doesn't look like that on the actual in-game model. Like, I'm not really sure what happened. It looks like they almost were trying to sculpt a different Freddy, then, like, scrapped everything and restarted. Like, he almost looks more like Ned Bear. But he's high quality, he has nice paint, so he's not gonna go too low. I'm not the biggest fan. The McFarlane figure of Rockstar Freddy actually did a pretty perfect job sculpting him, so I think if the Funko one looked more like that head shape, it would be better. Then we got Funtime Foxy and Lolbit, who are two figures that I think are pretty much the same tier in terms of quality. I mean, they are repaints of each other, but they both have issues that kind of balance each other out, so I don't think one is better than the other necessarily. Funtime Foxy's eyes are literally always wonky. They are never looking straight forward. I don't know why, but this is on every single figure I've seen. And also, Funtime Foxy's eyelids are not pink, they are actually silver. But the head sculpt itself is pretty much perfect. It looks great, and there is a great body mold here. The proportions are perfect, and that translates over to Lolbit, who is not necessarily accurate to sister location since Lolbit didn't have a body in that game, but they did bother to include the hook from FNAF World, which is really cool. And they didn't bother getting rid of Lolbit's eyebrows, which I don't personally mind that much, but yeah, it is inaccurate, but I don't really care. These are kind of the same tier for me. I like this sculpt a lot. I just wish the paint was better, because man, these two in particular in the sister location wave are so prone to defects, and I have no idea why, especially Lolbit. Like, look at the paint on mine's face. What is going on here? Now, right above them, we got another sister location figure, which is Ballora, and this one, I don't like Ballora more than Funtime Foxy and Lolbit, although I think she deserves the upper hand just because her face, much more accurate, no paint defects that I've seen at least. She just looks pretty good all around. This is a very good adaptation. And then also, she comes with a base, which is literally the coolest thing ever. I wish Funko did stuff like this more often. Figure bases make me very happy, and I'm glad that this figure has one. That's honestly one of my favorite parts about this figure, because you can pose her on one leg standing up, and she'll actually stay up because she has a base. And that's so important for posing, and I really wish Funko decided to include it more. But it makes sense here. Ballora's a ballerina. She can't really function without a base, so this figure's pretty good. Although I'm not the biggest Ballora fan, I like this figure. Then next up, we got Nightmare Foxy, who I think he looks generally pretty good. Like, I don't think there's any major issues with him. I'm just not a fan of the big black void in his chest. I think it would be way higher, I think, if they bothered to do some endo detail, which they did for other figures in the FNAF 4 wave, so I don't know why they skipped out on Foxy, who arguably has his the most visible. Well, that's a lie. Nightmare Bonnie's torso is way more visible, but I wish they didn't skimp out on that part of this figure, because I think the rest of him looks very good. His head sculpt is great. Not really anything too special about him, but he's good. And then right above Foxy will be Nightmare Chica. This figure, I like it a lot, although I don't understand her blue eye. It is gray in the game. Although I don't think I really mind the blue eye, it's just kind of confusing. But I love the rest of this figure. I love that you can see, like, the endoskeleton ripping through, like, the torn up fabric on her legs. It is so detailed down there, and I don't know why they decided they put all the budget into Withered Chica's lower legs for some reason. But I'm not complaining. It looks awesome. I love how the tearing looks on this figure. They really captured how the Nightmare animatronics look. Her head sculpt is it leaves a little bit to be desired, you know. She doesn't quite look right. I'm not really sure how to say I don't know. I don't know how to put my finger on why she looks off, but she just kind of does. Although, I think she makes up for the weird head sculpt with the fact that she's holding the cupcake, and it looks really awesome. Nightmare Cupcake looks perfect. And then right above Nightmare Chica, we got the OG classic Bonnie figure. Now, this is the weakest of the first wave by a long mile, I think. I think he just looks kind of weird. Bonnie doesn't look like... It's very clear they just kind of tweaked Freddy's head sculpt a little bit and turned it into Bonnie, because the body's identical to Freddy, which is correct. Bonnie's body is identical, but the head should have been a completely unique sculpt, and I think it's pretty obvious they were cutting some corners here, although they did do the right thing. You know, they removed his butt chin, they gave him different teeth, moved his eyebrows. Like, they did enough, but I wish they went further with making this look like Bonnie. But I still like him a lot. I think he looks pretty good. Obviously upper teeth, but I'm kind of over it by now. And he comes with this awesome illegal guitar that they didn't have the rights to use, but they did it anyway. Honestly, my biggest complaint with this figure is the fact that he can't really hold his guitar, because other than that, head sculpt is weird, but I like his look. I think if he could hold his guitar, it would be a whole lot better. And specifically on the 2016 version of this figure, which is what you're looking at right now, I love his colors. This is the best coloring I've ever seen on a Bonnie figure, and nothing has topped it since this.
Hey, Apple! Apple! Hey! Hey, Apple!
What is it?
Orange, you glad I didn't say apple again?
So now's the fun part of the video where I just get to talk about a bunch of figures that I genuinely like, because I think everything from A tier and onward is just pretty good. Even if some of the character choices are intriguing. So starting off A tier, we have Lefty, who is a figure that I'm very, very fond of, although I don't feel personally that he deserves to be too high up, but I wanted him to at least be an A tier, a tier above the Rockstar Freddy figure, just because, I don't know what it is. I think that this sculpt, all my issues with it kind of go away when it's applied to Lefty. Maybe it's just bias because I freaking love Lefty, but I just love this figure. Amazing colors. They made a Lefty figure. That makes me very happy. I'm glad he exists. This figure just does it for me, although he's not anything too special. He is just a repaint, although I like him a lot more than his normal counterpart. Then next up we got System Error Bonnie, which is a figure that is another one of the Funko, like, fake toy animatronic wave where they did the AR skins instead, and this one, I like it a lot. Like, I think the sculpt for Toy Bonnie is perfect, and I think like this is definitely the best looking out of like the main wave of the AR figures, just because this one actually has like a decent paint job. My biggest issue though is the fact that he has these ugly, like, sculpted in scan lines all over him, and they're so like prominent. They dig into his sculpt so deep, and it really just looks awful to me. Like, the pop keychain of him did the scan lines much better, I think, and I wish they did something similar to that. Or they could have even done what the Mystery Mini did, where there was like, they actually just like painted them on and it looked cool. Like, there were better ways to go about this than sculpting in these hideous lines into the figure, but At the end of the day, it's still a good sculpt with decent paint and good proportions. I like this figure, okay? He's a bit frustrating, but credit where credit is due, he does stick out as looking much better than most of the figures in his wave. So right above System Era Bonnie, we have Livewire Freddy, and this is a figure that I love a lot, but not because of the... Like, none of these AR figures I think I necessarily like because of the skin, besides Frostbear, who we'll get to, but this one here, I just really... I wish this was a regular Toy Freddy. I repainted him to be a regular Toy Freddy, and I love how that looks. I wish that was just how it was by default, but I don't know. This figure still, it's a very good sculpt. Toy Freddy's Funko sculpt, they did a good job. He lives up to, like, what I would expect. It's just the fact that he's this weird red variant, but I'll give him credit. This variant of him, with the painted face and stuff, and the no headset, looks a billion times better than the regular purple version, and I do like him. This figure just has excellent proportions, and I think that, like, the sculpt is good enough for me to rank him highly, but I still wish he was regular Toy Freddy. So next up we have Eclipse, and you're probably saying, shouldn't Eclipse be an S tier because he's so good and the Ruin Wave is perfect? Like, yeah, I know you just said that out loud. That's exactly what you're saying and thinking. But I'm going to use this as an excuse to say, the Ruin Wave, it was like half of what it should have been. We should have gotten, like, at least, like, 6 characters. I wanted a Shattered Freddy, I wanted a Glamrock Bonnie, I wanted a Mimic figure, but we didn't get any of that. But we did get Eclipse, Ruined Roxy, and Ruined Chica, and Eclipse is my least favorite of the set. Not that he's bad, it's just the fact that I think his colors are very, very weak. I'm already not the biggest fan of this design. I do like his endoskeleton a lot, but at the end of the day, this figure, I think he just kind of suffers from a way too bright paint job that doesn't really suit the rest of the figures in the set, since the other figures in the set, they really did a good job with the colors, but him, I don't know, it just doesn't seem right to me. Then right above Eclipse, we got regular old Sun. I like Sun a lot. This is a good figure. Not really too much to say about him. My biggest complaint is that I wish they would have, like, sculpted over the pupils and given him just white eyeballs. I know it's technically accurate that he has pupils, but they're not this noticeable on the in-game model, so I think it would have just looked better if he just didn't have them. And also, I get it's because of stability and stuff, but Funko's Sun and Moon figure has some wonky proportions, like giant shoes and stuff. Just, like, not accurate to the in-game proportions at all, but I understand why they did that. Although, I think it would have been cool if they did a similar thing to Ballora, where they went for accurate proportions and they gave it a little base to stand on. I would like that a lot, especially because daycare attendant loves to hop on one leg and stuff all the time, so that would have worked really well for posing. But anyway, this figure's good, very well detailed, very well painted, nothing really to say, it's just good. Then right above him, we have Pig Patch for some damn reason. Why the hell did I put Pig Patch above Daycare Attendant? That was not right. This placement sucks. Why did I put him here? I like him, but, like, he doesn't deserve to be here. First you get a Help Wanted 2 level, now you get here. Shut up. Next we got Rockstar Foxy, who is a figure that kind of sticks out in the Pizza Sim set because he's, like, they gave him a metallic star, which Freddy and Lefty did not have for whatever reason. And then on top of that, he's got this super detailed parrot on his shoulder. It looks great. I love his sculpt. He looks super accurate to me. He's got metallic teeth. It's just like, this figure is really awesome looking. And I don't know why they decided to go all out for Rockstar Foxy, but they did. And I don't know. He's cool. I like him. And he's got a damn accordion that he holds with his pirate hook. Like, come on. Then right above Rockstar Foxy, we've got Circus Baby, and this figure is very, very good. I like her sculpt. It's basically perfect. I think the only thing that could improve this figure is I wish she had painted it in faceplates. If they actually bothered to paint her faceplates in, that would make it a bunch better. You could easily do that with a marker, but I don't really like doing that to my figures. Maybe if I had a duplicate copy of her, I'd try it, but I don't know. I don't really like doing that, especially with these older ones. But Circus Baby looks great. She is a little bit small compared to how she's supposed to be canonically, although I get that because she's got the skirt and she's very, she'd be very wide in the package, so she probably wouldn't fit very well if they tried to make her any bigger, especially because she's the figure that's paired with the Ennard torso, so there's already a lack of space in her packaging. I get why they made her smaller. And height aside, her proportions are very good. Just an all-around good figure. And then next up, we got Ennard himself, and I know a lot of you are probably not going to be happy with this placement. You think Ennard should be an S tier, and I would have thought that a few years ago, but honestly, as time progresses, I'm kind of realizing this figure was kind of like, there's something naked about him, and I pun not intended, but okay, so his body with the wire detail looks great. The wires look awesome. His mask is nice and glossy. There's a lot of nice detail in this figure, but he just has a lot of really weird things that they got wrong. He's missing his eyebrows. And I know in some instances Ennard has one eyebrow, but there's never been an instance where he has no eyebrows, which is what Funko decided to do. And on top of that, he doesn't have any of the protruding wires on his body, which makes him look very bare. Ennard's, all the wires, flying off of his body and making him look crazy is such an authentic part of Ennard's look to me, and the fact that this figure's missing it is really upsetting to me. I get it would be kind of hard to do on an action figure like this, where he's a Build-A-Figure, but I think it would have really helped this figure's look. And if the damn McFarlane Lego minifigure can have protruding wires, I don't know why this Ennard can't. Don't get me wrong, he is a good figure, and I really, really loved him when he first came out, but with time, I'm realizing he could have been a lot better. But that doesn't make him bad at all. This figure's pretty awesome. So now's the point in the list where I think there will be the most arguments about my placements, because I think you're justified for being upset with some of my choices, but remember, this is my list, and I can be as biased as I want, and you can make your list where you put them wherever you want. This is just a fun discussion. There's no objective right or wrong to the placements you choose. This is all good fun. And I'm saying this right before I say I am ranking Jacko Chica above Ennard. Now hear me out, okay? I praised the Nightmare Chica figure a lot for its sculpted detail. This figure has all of that, but it comes with a pumpkin. Now, that pumpkin is the coolest accessory that any action figure in the history of action figures has ever come with. That is an awesome pumpkin. And just to be completely honest, I have a lot of personal bias towards this figure because I love Halloween stuff, okay? Nightmare Before Christmas is my favorite movie, and this figure just has good vibes. Finally getting this figure in box is one of my favorite memories collecting. And I had lost this pumpkin that she came with for years, and I had to buy another one years later. I finally got a good deal on one, and I finally have the pumpkin again, and this figure is just, I don't even know, it's just special to me. I love this figure. I wish I could put it in S, but I don't feel right doing that, but I'm gonna put it here, above Ennard. And then right above Jacko Chica is Springtrap, who is a figure that is kinda sucks. If this released nowadays, they wouldn't hear the end of it. This face sculpt and the way they painted his eyes is just so goofy looking. But I think people love this figure so much because there's such a nostalgic quality to it. If you grew up with FNAF, this figure was so cool to you, and that's just a fact, okay? He's the Build-A-Figure for the first ever wave of FNAF figures, and he does have a lot of nice detail for his guts. His withering is pretty well done. The only real issue is his face, and even then, the one that I'm showing you a copy of right now, this is the best Springtrap figure I have. I own 4 of them because I am obsessed with this stuff, but this Springtrap is my favorite. The way he's looking up and he's kind of side-eyeing a little bit, it's perfect. This is the best eye position you could get on one of these figures, I think. And this is just one of those things, I could never bring myself to not like it. It is just classic. And I'm kind of changing my ranking mid-recording, but I think I'm going to move Springtrap to the top of A tier, so just pretend I'm talking about him after I talk about these next 3. Foxy, both versions, I'm ranking them as the same figure, but I am going to talk about them a bit separately because there are two versions of Foxy. Well, technically there's two versions of every Wave 1 figure, but Foxy in particular is special because he ended up using his old prototype colors on the re-release version rather than his bright orange color scheme from the 2016 version. And I think that the dark red is so good on Foxy. It looks awesome. It's much more accurate to FNAF 1, and I really like how it looks. Although, I will say, the 2016 version's paint job absolutely knocks the re-release out of the water, so I think if you applied the 2016 paint job onto the re-release version, we'd have a perfect Foxy figure, but for now, we just kind of have to have them separate. The re-release version doesn't have the brown eyelid and brown eyebrows, which I think is a bummer because I think those are really necessary for balancing out Foxy's colors. And Foxy's hook has always been a bit too small on merch, I feel, and they definitely made his jaw very 1/6 style. But still, he's a good figure and he's a classic. Then right above him we have Chica, and I think this is probably the second best looking figure in Wave 1. All things considered. I love how she looks. She's absolutely perfect, and I got my first ever Funko figures, or my first ever FNAF merch in general was, I remember I walked into Target when I was little, and I saw they had two of the new FNAF action figures. They had Chica and they had Freddy, and I got both of them, and that was probably the happiest day of my life. I don't think I've ever been that nothing has ever piqued me that much. Like, that was like, finding FNAF action figures in a store made me happier than I'd ever been. And this figure in particular is special to me because it was my first one. I remember specifically I opened up this figure first, and you're looking at the exact figure I got on that day. Her cupcake is awesome. I love the dirt washing, the texture on her fur. It's all just excellent. And they even got her silver toes from FNAF 1. How the hell did they know that was a thing? Then right above Chica, we have Freddy. Now, this is a classic figure. This one is just, he's good, okay? He's almost perfect. I think he would be much, much better if they adjusted his ears a little bit, fixed his hat, removed his upper teeth, but like, this is such an iconic thing. They had a giant version of this figure at Toy Fair 2016. This is what people think of when they think of FNAF Funko, I think. Like, this is the figure. They've reused this sculpt like a million times, but the original sculpt was good. Like, he has some weird details that he's not supposed to have, like a little strap on his hat and a little upper teeth, but like, he's a good sculpt at the end of the day. Like, and also, the original 2016 version, stellar paint job. He looks great still. This is my original copy. Like I said, he was one of my first figures with Chica, and I love him. This specific figure and the Chica figure are very sentimental to me because they were the first things in my FNAF collection, and they're just cool. I forgot to talk about Firework Freddy. I did rank him at the bottom of A tier. This is a good figure. He's really, really, really funny. And he's kind of a curious figure too because he has this new sculpt for FNAF 1 Freddy's head, and I have a big theory that this is part of the canceled FNAF movie line that Funko was gonna make. Because we know that they planned on making a whole FNAF movie line, but the plans ended up falling through. I feel like this Freddy sculpt matches up with movie Freddy pretty well, so this figure is kind of our only remnant of that movie line that we have, and that's kind of funny to me. Anyway, sorry for A tier being so jumbled. I kind of was wishy-washy because we're getting near the end of the list, and I don't know, my ranking, I'm not 100% confident on it, but I'm gonna keep S tier how it was.
Be out before the movie comes, so there's going to be them in the stores. You can do some pre-orders, but overall, we're all looking forward to it.
So the bottom of S tier is a high regard, but it's also a little bit insulting. That's what I think this 13-inch Freddy figure deserves. They took the original Freddy, they gave him weird elbow pads, they gave him jaw articulation, and they made him over a foot tall. And you know what? That's enough to satisfy me. This guy is awesome. This guy is pretty readily available. I cannot recommend this figure enough, okay? If you just want like a big Freddy centerpiece for like any shelf ever, This is perfect. He's awesome. Then next up we got Glitch Trap, who is a figure with a essentially perfect sculpt. He just kind of has some weird colors and these weird animatronic joints, and obviously that's not accurate, but I will say this is such an improvement over their attempt at doing this with Vanny, because at least Glitch Trap actually isn't human. And on top of that, this sculpt is super accurate to Help Wanted. His proportions are nice, maybe his head is a little bit small, but hey, he looks good. I like this figure a lot. This is what I would expect from a Funko Glitch Trap figure, and for that, he's good. Then right above Glitch Trap, we've got Captain Foxy. Maybe a bit of a controversial placement, but I do really love this figure. It's just the original Foxy figure, but with a bunch of swag. Like, look at that coat. He looks great in that coat, be honest. Like, this figure is just awesome. I'm so glad they made this. I always loved how Foxy looks in his pirate coat, and I wish he was wearing it more often. I like this. And interestingly, this Captain Foxy figure goes back to his original colors from 2016, which, although I do prefer the re-release's shade of red, I think for this one, to match the Help Wanted model of Foxy, makes perfect sense to be bright orange. And then we've got Freddy Frostbear. This is one of the all-time greats in terms of Funko figures, and this is kind of just a situation where, like, you had to be there, okay? FNAF was in a dark place, okay? Nobody knew what the hell Security Breach was. The only new content we were getting was this FNAF AR mobile game. And there was a character in this mobile game who was quite popular at the time, Freddy Frostbear. And Funko decided to make a figure of him right off the coattails of the Security Breach figure wave, which people didn't really like and still don't like. But this figure releasing was completely shadow dropped, and I think this was the first Funko figure ever to just be shadow dropped out of nowhere with no announcement. And he has a fixed FNAF 1 Freddy sculpt with just like a ton of really awesome detail. He looks exactly like the model from the game. This is just a fantastic release. And it's so nostalgic thinking back to, like, right in the middle of COVID, this random figure releases in the middle of Walmart that you can't buy online. You have to rush out the stores and everything. It's like, it was such a hectic time, but this is just such a nostalgic figure for me. He was actually the first action figure I ever reviewed on the channel. And yeah, he's still great. I love him. And I will like to emphasize, Freddy Frostbear is the best FNAF AR character. And I'll go a step further and say he's the only one that should have gotten a figure. I just remembered, like, the day after I had gotten this guy, there was, like, a big snowstorm. I have so many good memories with this Frostbear figure. This is one of my favorite, like, action figures I own, I think. Then right above Frostbear, we got Nightmare Bonnie, and this is an interesting figure because none of the other Nightmare animatronics have their eyes painted white, but he does for some reason, and I kind of love it because it makes him so unique. He has excellent color choices, really well done withering. I like how the endoskeleton torso and his chest looks like the top of a soda can. They even got his whiskers. I really love how his endo hand looks ripping through his hand sculpt. I don't know, I like Nightmare Bonnie. He's a high tier figure for me. Then we got Golden Freddy, which is another case of me just thinking the repaint looks better than the original, and yeah, this one looks pretty awesome. They chose a nice punchy shade of yellow. He's got really nice dirt washing. They put this nice gloss over his eyes so it has the little shine that he usually has, and it just looks great. I love Classic Freddy, I love Golden Freddy, but I have to pick Golden Freddy over the Classic Freddy figure. I just think he looks more appealing. Then right above Golden Freddy, we have Scrap Baby, which is a fantastic Build-A-Figure, and also the last Build-A-Figure, because Funko made this one, and they decided that they never wanted to make one again. The sculpt on this figure is great. Like, Scrap Baby is such a cluttered, like, character design. There was so much going on, so I get the missing details on this one way more than I do for Ennard. The fact that they were able to cram in as much detail as they did is impressive in and of itself. I do think her colors are way too bright. Scrap Baby is a very darkly colored character, and I don't think that this color scheme necessarily fits. Like, the neon orange hair is a bit much. But she has an awesome endoskeleton sculpt. All the robotic parts on her look awesome, especially her claw and her big scary hand. Seeing how great this figure is really makes me wish Funko decided to make the rest of the scrap animatronics, but oh well. We have her, and this one's really awesome. Then we've got Moon, who I'm ranking a full tier above Sun and Eclipse because I like Moon more, and that's my reason. But I also think the sculpt just works better on Moon. The creepy little hand gestures kind of just don't suit Sun to me, so I think Moon just works better with them. Also, the pupils are actually painted in on this one because he's supposed to have them. He has some awesome airbrushing on his arms, which is really surprising from a Funko figure. I didn't mention this with Sun and Eclipse, but all these guys have this awesome like circuit board detail on the back of their heads, and they really didn't have to do that, but that's really cool. Then we got Ruined Chica and Ruined Roxy. These two pair together really nicely, and I'm ranking them together because I don't really think one is better than the other. I think they're both pretty on par. Ruined Chica has some amazing detail, but Ruined Roxy has some amazing articulation, and the endoskeleton also looks really sick. Like, these are just both really stellar figures, and since this is from the last Funko wave that we're probably ever going to get for action figures, honestly, I'm happy with this being the final wave, even if it's incomplete. These are some really good figures, and it's good that they went out with a bang. And I think they kind of speak for themselves. You know, these are some amazing figures. Not even gonna compare them to their original Security Breach counterparts. That's not even necessary, because look at these. They're perfect. And I know a lot of people would have ranked the Ruined figures at the top, but for me personally, there is just 3 bears that I like more. Starting with Funtime Freddy, who is easily my favorite of the Sister Location line. He just looks perfect. His sculpt is excellent. He is super accurate. He's got Bon Bon, who is fully detailed. He's got his microphone. Just everything about this figure is awesome. I really, really love him, and he's very nostalgic because back when this figure came out, Funtime Freddy was arguably the most popular FNAF character. People were obsessed with him when Sister Location was new. And thankfully for all the fans of him at the time and all the fans of him now, he has a really amazing action figure. Then we got Nightmare Freddy, who I've ranked as the second best figure in the whole line. And I can imagine a lot of people are going to be like, what? Why? Like, I think people like this figure, don't get me wrong. I know people like this figure, but I don't know if many people would rank him this highly. And for me, it really comes down to he has the best accessory in the entire toy line. He comes with a Freddle. No other accessory has beaten that, okay? He comes with a Freddle. That is a father right there, and that's beautiful, okay? That's beautiful. And I really love the look of this figure. Like, the sculpt here is great. His withering isn't the most detailed in the world, but it's detailed enough. I don't know. I just always found this figure... Like, this has always been my favorite of the Nightmare figures. Always my favorite Nightmare animatronic, besides Nightmarion, but his figure sucks, sadly. But this Nightmare Freddy figure is great. And I really just... I can't explain why I like him so much other than the Freddle. I like the Freddle, and I like him. Nightmare Freddy has always just been a character where I think I just enjoy merchandise of him more than the actual character. Something about a scary Freddy with red eyes and sharp teeth just does it for me. And now, drumroll please, as I will announce the winner of this video. If you're a longtime fan of the channel, you definitely know who I'm going to rank highest, but if you don't, you're in for a rude awakening. Dreadbear. Number 1, he's in the winner tier. I've always had a big fascination with this green zombie Freddy variant, and this action figure solidified my love for him. He has an entirely unique sculpt with fully detailed sculpt work, and everything is perfect. He is a very vibrant, like, tealish green, which isn't necessarily accurate, but it's a great color. Honestly, I couldn't tell you how this started, but it definitely started with this figure. I really, really loved this figure. It just really did it for me in really every single way. Just like every aspect of this figure I love. And I'm not really sure how this started, but I remember I got this figure, I really loved him, and then every time I would see them in the store, I'd be like, yeah, I'll get another Dreadbear. Yeah, I did a Dreadbear. This figure just brings joy, okay? Look at his endoskeleton poking through. I love endoskeleton. If you couldn't tell, how many times I said endoskeleton in this video, okay? Whenever there's endoskeleton detail in a figure, I love that. Another thing I love about this Dreadbear figure is his body proportions. He's really the only figure that has this type of like V-shaped torso besides the Nightmares, and I like that. And he fits in very well with the Nightmares, which is great because Jacko Pawnee and Grim Foxy sure as hell don't. Just a beautiful work of art, and whatever person at Funko sculpted this, I want you to know you've done something great. And the same goes to whoever designed his plushie, by the way. That thing is equally as good. Also, just Curse of Dreadbear box with Dreadbear inside and the Dreadbear name tag. That is just the best thing that's ever happened. And there we go. That's my official ranking of every single Funko FNAF figure. This was such a fun video to make, looking back at this whole toy line and really coming to appreciate it. It may have gotten worn out and frustratingly inconsistent near the end of it, but at the end of the day, I have Funko's FNAF action figure line to thank for my channel even being a thing. So farewell, Funko, and if you ever happen to get the master license back and make more action figures in the next, like, I don't know, that'd probably be like 10 years from now, but still. If it ever happens, make sure you hire somebody who doesn't prioritize mobile game skins to run the line. And remember, this was just the action figure ranking. The real retrospective is soon to come.